Alright, I am so excited today. So, right now, the place we're standing at is the first place I came to sleep in New York City. Right now we're in Queens. When I arrived to JFK and got an Uber to come here, I booked one night of Airbnb the day before my flight. This is where I came. And that house behind the green Lexus is where I came and stayed. This is how much I knew about New York. I had this picture in my head. New York is this place with all these buildings with the lights. That's all I knew. I know New York City is one of the most difficult places to make it, and if you make it here, you'll make it anywhere else.
If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere.
So I booked my flight, one-way ticket. I got an Uber and I spoke to the driver about what I'm doing. I said, hey, Mr. Driver, I just left college. I left my parents because I want to be independent, and I think this is how I'm going to be successful. And he told me I was wrong. He said, I need to go back to school, get the education, because that degree is the key to success. And I said, oh, so I was already so scared. I was freaking terrified. I didn't know what I want to do, and this guy said I'm making a mistake. My parents thought I'm making a mistake. My closest friends thought I'm making a mistake. So here I am, dropped off here with 2 luggages, about to go to that Airbnb. So I called the guy and I said I'm here. He opens the door, and right when he opens the door, just this blast of marijuana hits me in the face. It was so strong, I almost fell back. That's how strong it was. And immediately I was so scared. I said, who's in this house? Why is everyone smoking weed? Is something gonna happen to me while I'm here? I was so fragile, I was so scared, I was petrified. And they showed me the room, and it was one of the most disgusting rooms I've ever seen. And that night I ended up not sleeping at all. I slept on top of the blanket with my jacket on, and I didn't really sleep. I just was waiting for the time to go by. So why New York City? Bardia, why can't you do the same thing you want to do, but move to Santa Ana, move to Los Angeles, go to San Diego, stay close to home? There's a reason why I chose New York City. It's not because it's the complete opposite side of where California is. I actually didn't even know New York is the complete opposite. I just thought it's somewhere in US. I didn't know it's the complete opposite. But people ask me, why did you go to New York? Like, dude, are you crazy? And here's why. I moved to New York because it's gonna sound crazy, but it's because my parents, my relatives, my closest friends live there. And what happens at the times where you're this close to giving up, rather than finding the answer, changing who you are, becoming someone stronger, your natural instinct is gonna say, hey, go back to your parents. Hey, call your best friend, say, come and get me. That's why, because I have no one in New York City at the time. Now I know a lot of people. So that's why I chose New York City. And why did I choose New York City? Look, if I told you what I see a lot of people, including myself at the time, is I didn't know what I want to major in. I didn't know what I want to do in life. I didn't have a career path I wanted to take. I had no interest to go make money. I was not motivated even one bit. So that made me really depressed. I was depressed, I was upset, I was sad. My confidence was through the floor. It was zero. I compared myself to others. This guy's doing this, this guy's doing that, and I'm like, I don't even know what I want to major in. I'm getting bad grades. I really had no motivation, and I can relate to a lot of people out there, especially some of my friends, or people that I know of, similar spot. And I decided that I want to make a change. I always wanted to be successful when I was a kid, but what makes someone successful? I started to research and study the people that were my idols, like Tony Robbins, like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all these extremely successful people, Tai Lopez, and they all have something in common. They're extremely hungry. Notice I didn't say they all have college degrees or they all have high paying, they make a lot of money. they all have this hunger inside of them that they never want to settle for anything less, and they always want to get more in life. So I decided what would be a better way but to create it for myself. I was very fortunate to be in a family that did extremely well, so I didn't really suffer as a kid, but I decided to create that hunger for myself and start from zero. So get away from parents, get away from everyone, get away from help, get away from my friends' parents that I would see them at every intersection, and start zero by myself without any help. So that's why I chose to be independent and go to New York City to start from zero and make it. I was willing to clean floors, I was willing to do whatever it takes to make it in New York City. And I actually wrote that on a piece of paper. I said, Bardia, what are you willing to do to make it here? And I said, anything. So now that I wanted to move to New York City, how am I gonna do it? When am I gonna move? Now, tomorrow, next week, next month? How am I gonna tell my parents? That night, I booked a one-way ticket to New York, and the cheapest date was like in a week. And I booked the ticket. Then the next day, I told my parents, I'm going to New York, and they freaked the beep out. They freaked the fuck out, and I said, I'm going. Nobody can stop me. I love you guys, but that's if you guys want me to be successful and be happy, that's what I need to do. I want to tell you guys a secret. So when I came here, I decided to keep a journal of every single night, what I'm going through, what stage I'm at, what questions that I have. And I don't want to bring the whole journal because I was afraid I'm going to lose it. So this picture, I'm going to read it to you and tell you what it is. So 3/21/17, first night in New York City, location Queens, JFK to Diego's house. I walk in, and I'm reading you this straight from what I wrote. This is my words I put down on the paper that same night. I walk in, instant slap to the face. What is this shithole? And then I wrote, I feel depressed, lost, lonely, you name it. Why? I can't talk to anyone on the phone because my voice cracks. I get emotional, and then books, like a books is a Farsi word of that feeling you get in your throat when you're about to cry. Then I said I had to keep my words short because my eyes got teary and I felt something in my throat. You get it. Chatting with a friend too at the moment. And then I wrote, is this the only way? Can't I stay with parents, go to school, get a job? Taxi driver, the Uber driver said, in quotations, education is the only way. You have to get that degree. And then he said, you'll make 50K right out of college. And then my counter thing is, I wrote counter, 2 dots. There's no room for growth, plus other ways to make money. And then in parentheses, I wrote stocks. Back then, probably like what I had in mind, stocks is the way to make money. And then in caps, I wrote, I'm lost. And then kind of have hope, LOL. So this was my first night when I came to New York City as a kid who's lost, depressed-ish, and didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. But I decided to take action because I couldn't take being where I am, switching majors from, like I see a lot of my friends doing, from business to psychology to sociology to sociopath. I decided to do something different, and made a lot of progress ever since. And there's always ups and downs, but living on your own terms can be the best thing you can imagine and have, because every failure you'll have won't be a failure, it'll be a lesson. But until you actually do something on your term, it won't feel like a lesson, it'll feel like a failure. So what I would recommend is, what is it that you want to do, and what is it that's stopping you? What if you let that thing stop you for the next 10 years of your life, 20 years, 30, 40, and bam, you have a midlife crisis. So ask yourself, if you could live on your terms, what would you rather do? Do you want to keep doing what you want to do, or do you want to do something different? But whatever it is, you've got to live on your own terms, because we're humans. We're like animals. We're not perfect robots. Nobody can manufacture us, change us. If you're doing something that you're unhappy now, 10 years from now, don't think it's going to change. It's going to stay there. And are you going to be the kind of person that's going to stick to that, live with pain, be unhappy, or are you going to do something to change it and live on your terms? And very quickly, I know I'm boring you to death, but you might say, but my parents say this. Let me tell you this, my parents left their business, whatever they were doing, to come to the United States. So I go to a good school. And how do you think it turned out for them? When you become successful in your life, you leave everything for your kids to give them the best education, freedom they can get, and bam, they leave school. So I have a lot of respect for my parents, and they didn't go through a good time. But here's what I'll tell you. My relationship with my parents has been so much better, even though the first couple months when I came here, we would talk together on the phone, and they would tell me like, dude, it's a mistake, come back, you need to come back. And I would say, no, I'm gonna stay here. In the beginning, it was very tough. Imagine you tell your parents, hey, I'm not going to school. They're gonna freak the fuck out. But from my personal experience, we have 10 times, 100 times the amount of respect for each other now that I'm living on my terms. And trust me, they want me to be successful. I want to be successful more than they want me to be successful. So think about that. Now we barely get into fights. I talk to my father every day. I talk to my mom every other day. I don't know why, it's just how it is. So I can tell you how it's going to be how it's been with my parents. Tough in the beginning, but now it's freaking amazing. I go see them whenever I want to see them. They call me and say, hey Bardia, get your ass to California, we want to see you. And I go, and everyone's so happy. So one thing you can take away from this, if you want, is how would life be if you lived on your own terms? And what if you did that, what if everyone's going to be happy, including your parents and you? So think about that.
Start spreading the news.